you are coming on the Kenyan Historian at a time we have a pact between Raila Odinga and President William Ruto.
Correct.
This pact has elicited quite a lot of reactions, mixed reactions to be specific. We have seen those who support and we have seen those who are against it and who say it's not good for the country.
Yes.
From where you sit, how do you see the cooperation between the two leaders?
All I can say that I look around and I see majority of Kenyans are not just against this cooperation, but are extremely angry with Raila Odinga. That's what I can tell you for now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, when you look at the anger they have and we look at the pact and the reasons that Raila Odinga and William Ruto gave for their cooperation, is there like a misfit in this relationship between Raila Odinga and William Ruto? It's not the first time we have seen Raila Odinga work with the government.
You see, this particular time, even if you look at the reasons, there can't be reasons for cooperation. Some of them are things government should do. Can they meet to talk about abductions? Can you have an MOU about abductions? What is there to discuss about abductions? Leave alone an MOU. Mm-hmm. This is something government just sorts out. Mm-hmm. You look at the things, I think there's just excuses they are looking for to work together. Mm-hmm. There's nothing in that MOU or whatever it is that can even be believed by even a young little grade 3, 4 child. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So are Kenyans right to be angry about it? Those who are angry?
I think there's reason for them to be angry. First, looking at the state of the economy, looking at the suffering, and concluding that the only reason Raila is there is to save Ruto. They will be justified. They have reasons to be angry. But then again, looking at the reasons they are giving, that looks like an insult to Kenyans.
So at this particular time, Ruto had lost Gachagua through the impeachment. They are not working together. It was engineered by Ruto. We all know that. But the backlash, especially in central Kenya, is it something that has pushed William Ruto to ensure that Raila Odinga comes to the table?
I think so, because after losing Mount Kenya, he was prepared perhaps to lose it, but not to the extent he lost it. It jolted him. And I think he had also underrated the impact of Gachagua. And seeing what it means to him, he's gasping for air. And he's looking for somebody like Raila Odinga.
There was a lot of issues he was facing, and especially after impeaching Rigathi Gachagua. Yeah, there were issues before, even when they had Gachagua. When we talk about last year's protest by the young Kenyans. But they were compounded by the removal of Gachagua.
Certainly.
But do you think that Raila Odinga is the man Ruto needs to salvage what many or a good number have seen as a sinking ship?
Let's put it this way. Let's make it even better. If Raila had not happened on the scene at the time he happened on the scene, if he had not come through for Ruto during the Gen Z revolution, we would be talking about something else today. That's just how critical the support of Raila was, and still is.
But the Kenyans who feel that the deal between Ruto is there for Raila Odinga to have a cake, there are those who believe that, who are now saying that Raila is a selfish man, and he's been pushed into, or he has pushed himself into government, not for the sake of Kenyans, but for his benefit.
I think many Kenyans, those who are not for this cooperation between Raila and Ruto, this time round, they see it as a Raila thing.
Not a Kenyan thing.
No. That he's in this cooperation for himself, whatever that means. But it's not for the people of Kenya. It's not even for ODM. It's not even for his people. It is for Raila Odinga.
And what about you? What do you think?
I can see what they are seeing. I may have some slightly different opinion, but it's very difficult to persuade yourself that they are wrong. Very difficult. I think they have a big point. Because even I here, I'm trying to figure out what is it Raila is trying to do. I can't see it. Now I'm wondering if I can't see it, how many people are seeing it? So that leaves it exactly where you have brought it. That many Kenyans feel this is Raila in to get something for Raila.
It's almost like 2.5 years to 2027 when you look at it. Many Kenyans see it as Ruto trying to salvage his chances for re-election. But the question will be, with working with Raila Odinga, does it guarantee him a re-election?
It gives him a serious fighting chance. Look at it even from the numbers. You lose Mount Kenya. You more or less lose a lot of the Luhya nation, the former Western province. Ukambani is totally out because of Kalonzo. And if you go on like that and on, you find it doesn't have numbers. So you must bring somebody who brings at least a chunk. It may not replace the Mount Kenya chunk, but the Nyanza block and a bit of Western is mitigating.
But let's talk about some realities when we were talking about numbers.
Yes.
The first reality is when we have looked at the history of Kenya's voting patterns,
Yes.
As you put it.
Yes.
Mount Kenya usually comes out in large numbers
Right.
when you compare to other communities.
Yeah.
And they have a tendency of voting as a block.
Yeah.
Now, if the analysis, as you put it, paints a picture of Ruto losing his grip on the Mount Kenya region, then where does he and how does he replace? Because the difference was there's an assumption that since Raila Odinga or Ruto won by only 200,000 votes, then when Raila Odinga is on his side, then it's easy to recapture the seat. But out of the votes, the millions that Ruto got, a good number,
A chunk,
came from Mount Kenya, which is now in a yumba.
Yes.
So how does he replace?
It's difficult, and many people have said it. I've said, look here, you don't expect to replace the Mount Kenya votes with all the dynamics around it with the shaky Luo Nyanza votes. People have been even more dramatic. They have said if they could not turn out in large numbers for Raila when he had his best shot at the presidency in 2022, how can they turn out for Ruto?
The Nyanza vote, yeah. And they didn't, actually, the turnout was poor.
Yeah, so you are gambling.
Yeah.
You are setting aside and ignoring a sure bet in the Mount Kenya vote, going to get votes from a region that couldn't even vote for their own when he had the best possible chance.
What about the Luhya? There are those who have a thinking that when you look at the population, in terms of community or in terms of regions or counties,
Yes.
look at counties. Nairobi is number one in terms of population,
Yes.
followed by Kakamega, then followed by Bungoma. And then
skip to Kiambu.
Then Kiambu.
Yes.
Then there's Kiambu number 4 in terms of population.
Oh, population,
But
not voting.
When it comes to votes,
Yes.
Nairobi becomes number 1, Kiambu number 2.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was talking
So there are people who are asking, like, is he looking at replacing Central with the Luhya votes, which in terms of communities, the Luhya population, in terms of population, the Luhya community is number 2. And when you're looking at the strength in terms of population after the Kikuyu. So is he looking at replacing the Mount Kenya votes with the Western and the Luhya Western
You know, even
votes?
if you combine Luo and Luhya,
Yes.
they are not sufficient to replace Mount Kenya.
You're serious?
Yeah. Even just from the numbers itself. Before you mention the turnout, before you mention the mobilization,
Yeah.
before you mention fragmentation of the Luhya vote. You know, so you can't compare. You can't replace the Luhya vote. Combined is not sufficient to replace the Mount Kenya vote.
So William Ruto still has a big...
Yeah, it's an uphill task. So that's the one, that's why he needs Raila Odinga. And he must keep adding something else and something else. Because Mount Kenya is gone.